mindset is the foundation to being a business owner, right? Like, this is a concept that I actually think is pretty fundamental to building your business and creating a life that you're actually dreaming of. Okay. It's called the future self or becoming future focused. And you may have heard of this concept, but this has really been life changing in how I approach my everyday life. And I want to teach you about this. And it's going to involve a three-step process that I'm going to show you how to use in your life every day. All right. And it's just an amazing way to start looking at your life and just start moving forward and getting closer to creating all the things that you desire in both your life and in your business. Okay. So it's called the future self and creating future focus. And you probably know as humans, and I've talked about this before, we have a primal brain, which is like back here, right? It's also, it's like also called the caveman brain or the lizard brain. Some people call it different things, right? And then we have a prefrontal cortex. Okay. So the primal brain or the caveman brain, lizard brain, it has three major goals. It wants to avoid pain, it wants to seek pleasure, and it wants to seek repetition, or basically be lazy and do like what it's always done, right? Its job, right? Its primal job is to keep you alive. That's what the primal brain is there for. And we appreciate the primal brain, right? If we need to like jump out of the way, if we're in harm's way, right? It's great. Thank you, primal brain, right? We want to be alive. But the primal brain can actually kind of get in the way. Okay. And I'm sure most of you know when it comes up, it comes up with all kinds of stories and scenarios in your head that keep you safe and avoid discomfort, right? The discomfort of doing things that are outside of your comfort zone, right? You've never built a business before, or you've never done it in this way before. This is new. Or maybe you're learning a new social media skill, right? And your brain is saying, she's at danger, danger, perceived danger. And it doesn't want you to do it. So it's going to put up all the stops to get you to stop doing that. So that's primal programming. It actually comes from your past and it's just regurgitating the past into the future, right? So if you want to keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten, right? But if you want to do something new and set new goals for yourself, you have to learn to access the prefrontal cortex that we have, right? That we've developed since being cavemen. Okay. We all have these goals, and it could be like friend requesting people or inviting people to your group, talking to people in DMs, posting on social media. And we have to be willing to embrace the discomfort of it and train our caveman brains to the fact that it's not going to kill us, right? And to that emotion, whatever that is for you, if it's like fear or a little bit of embarrassment or awkwardness, whatever that uncomfortable emotion is for you, whether it's sitting down writing content and it's like hard, whatever that is, whatever that emotion is that your brain doesn't want you to feel. Okay, it wants you to feel safe, it wants you to feel pleasure and to avoid pain and do what you've always done. So that really just comes from your past, from when you were a caveman. Yeah, and your past really likes to delegate things down to the subconscious. It likes to push things down there so that it's just on repeat, right? Think about your habits, and we all have habits. Maybe you're an early riser, or maybe you like to go to the gym every day, but there's also the not so helpful habits, right? And that's all programming from our past. And it's just the way that we challenge it that I want to teach you about today, right? To learn to become future focused, which means we create our future from our future. Okay. And I'm going to show you, because if we do nothing, then nothing's going to change. All right. We're just going to keep unconsciously, like, keep training our brains to subconsciously feel threatened and to not let us do the things that will push our businesses forward. So, what I want you to do is to start focusing on the future. All right. And I'm going to show you how in 3 steps. So the first step is to create your future from your future, right? It's to pick a timeline and a goal. And we see our goals in short term, medium term, and long term. Okay. So a short term would be like by the end of the day, right? What are your goals that you want to reach by the end of the day, right? Well, I'm going to follow everything that's on my calendar. I'm going to use like a DM tracker to follow up on leads. I'm going to write some emails. I'm going to do the work that I said I was going to do that day that I have on my calendar, right? Or my short term goal could also be by the end of the week, right? So those would be short term goals, right? I'm going to make sure I complete my DM tracker by the end of the week. I'm going to make sure my emails are all written for next week, right? I'm going to batch some content, right? I'm going to do the things that I set up in my weekly calendar. So a goal and a timeline for a medium length goal would be like 3 months or 90 days. So maybe your 90-day goal is a member count for your Facebook group, or finishing a certain project, finishing freebies, low ticket offers, and having it launched. Okay, that could be a 90-day goal. And then our long term is sort of like a year out, or like 5 years out, 10 years out, right? Where we're heading. That's what it's all about, where we're headed. Okay. That is what, like, we're about creating that business that we want, that's sustainable. Okay. That's our long term goal, right? That's giving us the life that we desire. That's giving us the impact that we want to create. That's allowing us to express ourselves and create this incredible long term goal. Okay. So then, step number 2, now that we're learning to create our life from the future, we really want to intentionally create our future self. We have a future self, we have a present self, and then we have a past self. All right. If our future self, right, our future self that we're thinking of in those goals is really a present self, all we ever have to think about is our past self. Okay. Think about that. If your future self is really your present self, all we ever have to think about is our past self. All right. So think about that concept. Okay. When we think about our future self, it's a story that we're projecting out into the future. So, what I want you to start doing is to really just be conscious about that. I want you to create what is your future self? What is it? What is she doing? How is she being? What does she wear? How does she show up every day to create the life that is the future self, that your future self is living? Okay, we really want to intentionally create this future self. How is the future self different from your present self? Okay, maybe there's some things that you're doing that you're like, yes, I need to keep doing this. It is getting me to where I want to be. But what are the things that are not working? Right? What are the things that, like, at the end of the day, I'm not really feeling this, right? It's not moving me. It's not moving the needle in my business. It's not going where I want to go. All right. So I want you to start being intentional about who you are wanting to be and who you are becoming. Okay. So we need to have a clear guideline for who that future self is, who you want to become. Okay. And that can evolve over time, but you have to start with something. Okay. So then, number 3 is to visualize being your future self right now. Okay. This is really a key component of the visualization of it. Okay. The I am. All right. And what I would suggest is to take like 5 minutes a day or even 3 minutes a day and really practice visualizing being that person now. Okay. And some people like to meditate and sit still on it. And some people want to do it when they're walking or whatever. I know school's over, but some people do it like in the school pickup line. They're sitting in their car and they're just visualizing. Whatever practice works for you, think about what a successful you does. Like, who are they being? What are they feeling? Right? And what are they doing differently? Okay. Then what you do is you start to practice doing that. How would they show up differently? Maybe somebody who maybe has the 20K a month goal, right? If that's what your goal is, who is it that's making $20,000 a month? What are they doing differently? What does my future self do differently, and start doing something now? How are they showing up? How are they acting? Like, if they make a mistake or they don't do something perfectly, do they beat themselves up about it? Right? Or do they just keep going and don't make it mean anything about them? How is that future self different? And who is it that you want to be when you are there? And is it easy? Is it easy to just have $20,000 months? Do you have systems in place to get you there? Right? Is it easy to have signed clients? And what does that feel like? Does it feel exciting? Okay. So I want you to really start to play with this visualization of your future self, because what happens is the brain, when you focus on something and when you really create an intention to believe that, the brain will want to close the gap of where you are now and where you want to be. Okay. The brain is an incredible organ and it can actually do this. This is the magical thing about believing and acting from possibility rather than acting from the present or from the past. Because let's just say that you are somebody who was not always good with following through with a task, right? Or not good with scheduling everything on your calendar, but when the time came, like, maybe like you're not good at keeping up with laundry. Let's keep it simple. Laundry had to be done, right? But like then there's big piles of laundry or something like that. Nobody has clean clothes or whatever, right? Like, it could be something simple like that, right? But, you know, there could be distractions, right? It could be something like that. Like, it could not do, maybe it's not just putting things on your calendar, but maybe you're very distracted. Maybe social media, maybe you're scrolling too much on social media and it's distracting you from running your business. Okay. It could be like anything like that, something from your past that you've created a habit in that you now want to change. Okay. Because your brain will want to tell you that that's all you're good at. That's all you're ever going to do. You get distracted. You're not good at scheduling, right? And that's why sometimes when we have a new goal or something that is stretching us beyond our current or our present self, and we kind of share that with our friends and family, people that know us, who, they know that we can kind of tend to be a certain way, kind of unorganized, unscheduled, always late, something like that, right? They can kind of tend to say, well, you're not going to be able to create that. You're not going to be able to change. Okay. And it's not because they're mean, but they want to protect us, right? They kind of want to put our past onto where we're going, and they don't mean any harm by it usually. But if we always lived from our life from not doing something because we've never done it before, or because you think you can't, like, I can't ride a bike, right? But you can never learn to ride a bike until you actually ride a bike, right? So that's why we need to learn to live from possibility, looking onto our future to create what we want, not looking at the current thing. This is why creating and setting an intention on a regular basis, creating a visualization, creating a new habit, because that caveman brain back here will very quickly always want to go back to the way that it's always been, right? It'll want us to look behind us instead of looking in front of us. So that's why getting into the visualization and starting to act on the visualization is so important, even if you visualize one new habit at a time. Okay. I don't know if you've ever heard of the author and the incredible speaker, Joe Dispenza, but he talks about future focus as being we are creating memories. We are creating memories, creating future memories, if that makes sense. All right. We're creating future memories. We're implanting them inside us as memories, but they just haven't happened yet. And the reason we do this is because it's actually how we move the needle towards what we want. We have the belief first, right? Not the evidence first. And when we believe the belief first, then we create the evidence. That's how we're able to generate what we want most. So pick your goal, pick your time frame. Like I said, use the short term, medium term, and long term, right? You can do a goal for each one. right? I want you to create your future self intentionally and then start to practice it now. You can practice it in terms of if you're looking at your calendar, because when we create a calendar, we look forward to what we most want to do. We're looking at something from our higher self. We're trying to raise the bar. Okay. This is what I want to do this week. This is what I want to do this month. This is what I want to do this year. Okay. When you have your calendar like open in front of you, I like to have a paper calendar. I have a digital one too, but I still use a paper calendar because I like to see it sitting there with things that I need to do. Right. When you have your calendar up in front of you and like 9 a.m. shows up and you're like, oh, I didn't do my DM tracker. Right. Or I didn't do my friend requests, or I didn't talk to anybody in the DMs. Like I didn't follow up with those people that had questions for me. Right. Or I haven't batched my content yet, or I haven't planned out my next freebie, right? I'm going to go plan out my freebie. I'm going to plan out my low ticket offer. And the primal brain's going to go, people are going to think you're bugging them, or, you're emailing people too much, right? Or, whatever story your primal brain is going to tell you. And then you get to decide if that thought is serving me. Is that story I'm holding about that task, is that going to move me forward? Is that serving me? And likely, if it's a story that's like digging in and trying to get you like that, it's coming from your primal brain. It doesn't mean it's true or it's false. It just means to protect you from potential harm or from stepping outside of the cave, so to speak, right? Into something new. But it's just an emotion. It just means you're going to feel uncomfortable sending a friend request or DMing somebody, or sending an email today, right? Change the story and then decide what my future self would have to say to myself right now. She has so much confidence because she knows what I'm doing works. She's put all of these systems in place, and she knows that she created 20K months or 30K months or whatever your goal is. She knows, and she's excited to respond to DMs to this person who may be a potential client, because she's got such a valuable gift to share with this person, and she knows she can help, right? That's the thing the future self has already achieved and already gotten to do, where I currently want to go. She would show up differently than my present self. Okay. So practicing that intentional future self now. You do that in the present. You do that every day, because the more we can do that, the more our brain will close the gap between where we are now and where it is that we want to go. Practicing, because we know that beliefs are just thoughts that we've repeated so many times that we actually believe they're true. And the more you can anchor into tapping into the future self, the more that is going to be your truth. Thoughts create emotions. Emotions drive our actions, and actions create our results. So what is that future person thinking? Is she thinking this is easy, right? She's thinking, of course I get to email these people. They opted into my email list. Of course I get to hop on a call with this ideal client. She's in that energy of abundance. She's in that energy of having done the thing, in that emotion, creating the drive to do the action, to create the result, rather than going into the past and going, it's not going to work. What if they don't respond? What if they think I'm bothering them? All that doesn't get us to where we want to go. So it really is important to see the difference, to really start to tap into your future self. This is such an important concept, and I would love to hear your ideas of what your thoughts are in your future self and creating your vision from the future. And my free course sharing how to sell your offers even without an audience is soon to be updated, and I will be charging for it shortly. So grab that in the video description now while you still can grab it for free. So check for that link below, and me or my assistant Rochelle can answer any of your questions for you. Thank you again.